Good evening and a warm welcome to RTM News. My name is Vicky Lee White and I'll be bringing you all the top stories tonight. Let's start with the South African news headlines. ANC defends Operation Fila. Gauteng man dies after being thrown from his car. Cope up in arms about alleged NPA golden handshake. And woman dies after jumping from Hyde Park Hotel. Let's start with the first story. ANC defends Operation Fiela. Operation Fiela by the SA Police Service was meant to eliminate criminal activities and was not a form of harassment, African National Congress Secretary Gwede Mantashe said yesterday. I quote, Operation Fiela strives to apprehend and disarm those with illegal firearms in society. It is meant to discover and disarm everybody, foreign and national, in the country. Mantashe told journalists in Johannesburg following a 3-day ANC National Executive Committee meeting, I quote, the operation is not harassment at all. This is an effort to regulate everyone in the country. The operation was started after xenophobic attacks on foreign nationals that started in Isipingo, Durban in March, before spreading to Gauteng. In the next story, Gauteng man dies after being thrown from his car. A man died last night after he lost control of his car in Vanderbijl Park and was ejected, Gauteng paramedics said. I quote, bystanders on the scene pointed paramedics in the direction of where they found a man lying in the nearby veld, ER24 said in a statement. The man in his early 30s appeared to have been the only occupant of the car. His vehicle overturned several times before coming to a standstill in the open veld. ER24 said paramedics could not do anything for the man and he was declared dead on the scene. Cope up in arms about alleged NPA golden handshake. The Congress of the People yesterday claimed President Jacob Zuma was wasting millions in golden handshakes after a newspaper reported that embattled NPA head Mxolisi Nkosana wanted 6 million rand before he would consider leaving office. I quote, the presidency and Nkosana, we learn, are discussing the quantum. Under the Zuma administration, it is no longer the rule of law that has priority. It is money, 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 said COPE spokesperson Dennis Bloem. I quote, the truth in the circumstances is a constant loser under the ruling party. City Press newspaper yesterday reported that it had been informed by senior NPA sources that Nkosana wanted 6 million rand in compensation and that one of his conditions was that his deputy, Nomqobo Jiba, and the head of the Specialized Commercial Crimes Unit, Lawrence Mrebi, be redeployed. In the final South African story tonight, woman dies after jumping from Hyde Park Hotel. A woman is believed to have killed herself yesterday morning by throwing herself off the 8th floor of the Southern Sun Hyde Park Hotel in Johannesburg, Gauteng police said. I quote, we had an incident where a 53-year-old woman went to the Southern Sun Hotel in Hyde Park up to the 8th floor, where she threw herself off the building and she died, spokesperson Lieutenant K. Makubela said. So far, we are investigating an inquest docket. The motive at this stage is unknown. The woman's death happened at around 11 o'clock yesterday, he said. That's all the South African news I have for you tonight. We're going to go for a quick break and I'll be back with the rest of the African news.
And let us not neglect our meeting together, as some people do. But let us encourage one another, especially now that the day of return is drawing nearer. Beloved, are you in Southern Africa and you wish to join the gathering this year of the Redeemed Christian Church of God's National Convention 2015, coming up in August, and don't know how to go about it? Worry no more, for there is a full package to arrange your visa, air tickets and accommodation for affordable price. Worship the Lord your God, and his blessing will be on your food and water, and he shall take away sickness from among you. Stop listening to people's testimony. Let the world hear your testimony this time, because none shall be barren in the land. For more inquiries and bookings, please call the following numbers: Sanda Nomusakuto +2771 1871443, Baba Tokwe Jide +2783 2625-767. There will be teaching, preaching, and words of blessings from our dad in the Lord, Pastor E.A. Adeboye, who will be ministering alongside with other men of God. We serve a living God. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever.
His name, He alone deserves our highest praise.
Welcome back to our team news. If you're just joining us, we're having a look at the rest of the African stories. Let's start with the headlines. Morsi mass trial death sentence alarms US, EU. Burundi leader makes first appearance since failed coup. Egypt hangs 6 convicted Islamist militants. And Uganda back on alert over new Shabab threat. In the top story, Morsi mass trial death sentence alarms US and EU. The United States and Europe expressed alarm yesterday at death sentences for Egypt's ousted President Mohamed Morsi and dozens of others, a verdict expert called a declaration of total war on his Muslim Brotherhood. Morsi was among more than 100 defendants given the death penalty on Saturday for their role in a mass jailbreak during the 2011 uprising. He ruled for only a year before huge protests spurred the army chief and now President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to overthrow him in July 2013. Sisi won a presidential election in May 2014 backed by Egyptians tired of political turmoil in the world's most populous Arab nation, following the 2011 revolt against longtime autocrat Hosni Mubarak. Burundi leader makes first appearance since failed coup. Burundi's President Pierre Nkurunziza yesterday made his first appearance since an attempted coup, warning of a threat from Islamist Shabab militants and sending a clear message he is in charge of the Central African nation. The president smiled and shook hands with reporters at the presidency in Bujumbura city center. He gave only a brief statement without even mentioning the failed plot to overthrow him. A group of top generals on Wednesday launched a bid to oust Nkurunziza while he was on a visit to neighboring Tanzania after weeks of deadly street protests over his controversial bid to stand for a third term in office. In the next story, Egypt hangs 6 convicted Islamist militants. Egyptian authorities hanged 6 men convicted of killing soldiers yesterday, police said, ignoring appeals to spare them amid allegations 2 of them had been in custody at the time of the alleged crimes. A military court upheld the death sentences last March, following a trial in which the 6 were convicted of carrying out the attacks in the months after the army's overthrow of Islamist President Mohamed Morsi. Prosecutors say they were members of the Sinai-based Ansar Belt al-Maqdis jihadist group, which late last year pledged allegiance to ISIS in Iraq and Syria. The sentence was carried out by hanging in a Cairo jail, the officials said. Uganda back on alert over new Shabab threat. Uganda said this weekend it was boosting security measures following fresh threats against the East African nation by Somali's Al-Qaeda-linked Al-Shabaab rebels. A statement by police said a new video purportedly from the Islamists and urging attacks in Uganda and Burundi, nations that both contribute troops to the African Union's AMISOM force in Somalia, has been circulated online. I quote, "The people and its sister security agencies are actively examining the contents and authenticity of a video allegedly posted by the Shabab," Uganda police said in a statement, which suggested the threat was general rather than specific. That's it for the rest of the African news tonight. We're going to go for another short break and I'll be back with your Nigerian news.
International Church Growth Service, Lagos in South Africa, in conjunction with Redemption Television Ministry, RTM, South Africa, presents Growth, a Healthy and Vibrant Church. Speaker, Dr. Francis Bola Akijon and Church Growth Team. Dates will be 28th to 30th, May 2015, and the time 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Registration free, 100 rands. The venue is at Commercial Avenue, Streeton Park, Randburg, Johannesburg, South Africa. For further information, please call +27 11 025-4037 or email us on peacemakers.resources@yahoo.com. But grow in grace and in the knowledge of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. To him be glory both now and forever. See you there.
Welcome back to RTM News. If you're just joining us, we're having a look at the Nigerian stories tonight. In the headlines, Nigerian military says destroys 10 Boko Haram camps, and Nigerian restaurant shut down for serving human flesh. Nigerian military says destroys 10 Boko Haram camps. Nigeria's armed forces destroyed 10 Boko Haram camps yesterday in the remote Sambisa forest, the Islamist militant group's final hideout in the northeast of the country, the military said. In a statement, the military said many Boko Haram militants had been killed in the offensive. It said it had also captured a number of armored vehicles and anti-aircraft guns. In the next story, a Nigerian restaurant shut down for serving human flesh. A Nigerian restaurant has reportedly been shut down for cooking human flesh and serving it to customers. They raided the hotel restaurant to discover human head which was still dripping with blood in plastic bags. A local priest who ate at the restaurant in the southeastern province of Anambra was alarmed at the price of meals there, let alone where the meat came from, BBC Swahili reported. The priest said, and I quote, "The attendants noticed my reaction and told me it was the small piece of meat I had eaten that made the bill scale that high. I did not know I had been served with human meat and that it was that expensive." The police also found a terrifying arsenal of weapons which included grenades when they raided the restaurant. 10 people were arrested in connection to the crimes. One resident said, "I am not surprised at the shocking revelation. Every time I went to the market, I observed strange activities going on in the hotel." That's all the African news I have for you tonight. We're going to go for a short break and I'll be back with the international news.
The Redeemed Christian Church of God, Gauteng Province, invites you to her monthly divine encounter. The theme, Arise and Shine. Date is Friday, 29th May 2015, and the time is 7 p.m. Ministering will be Pastor E.O. Daramola and other anointed men of God. The venue is at number 4 Commercial Avenue, Streetdom Park, Randburg, Johannesburg, South Africa. For more inquiries and prayer requests, please call us on +27 11 791 4141. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord risen upon you. Don't miss this special time with God. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever. See you there.
Arise, arise, take your place.
Welcome back to RTM News. If you're just joining us, we're having a look at the international stories. In the headlines, 9 dead in Texas biker brawl. Democratic Congresswoman apologizes for ethnically loaded gesture. Brain-damaged Indian nurse dies 42 years after rape. And Russian special forces captured. Let's have a look at the top story. 9 dead in Texas biker brawl. Gunfire erupted yesterday among rival biker gangs in Waco, Texas, leaving at least 9 people dead, according to police. Authorities had anticipated trouble and pre-positioned officers. I quote, "There were at least 3 rival gangs groups there this morning for whatever reason. As they were here, we had officers on scene. We expected issues," says Sergeant W. Patrick Swanton, a police spokesperson. He later said there were at least 5 gangs. The fight broke out at Twin Peaks restaurant and spilled into the parking lot. It quickly escalated from hands and feet as weapons to gunfire. Swanson said, "In my nearly 35 years of law enforcement experience, this is the most violent and gruesome scene I have dealt with." Bikers shot at each other and at officers who returned fire. In the next story, Democratic Congresswoman apologizes for ethnically loaded gesture. U.S. Rep. Loretta Sanchez has apologized for an ethnically touched gaffe that was caught on cell phone video. The Democrat who is running to replace California's retiring Senator Barbara Boxer would otherwise seem like a paragon of diversity, but when she let out a stereotypical Native American war cry over the weekend, it marred that image and sent her running. literally away from a reporter trying to chase her down for comment on the gaffe that many found racially offensive. But late yesterday, she spoke about the slip-up. Native Americans know she's watching out for them, she told CNN affiliate KTLA, and they know that many of you don't know that, like so many Mexican Americans, I am proudly Native American on my mother's side, Sanchez said. Brain-damaged Indian nurse dies 42 years after rape. An Indian nurse who was in a vegetative state for 42 years after being raped by a hospital ward attendant while on duty has died. Aruna Stanbog was left with severe brain damage and paralyzed after her rape in a Mumbai hospital in 1973. She was kept alive by being fed through her nose but developed pneumonia 6 days ago, a hospital spokesperson told the BBC. Her case sparked a debate in India about its euthanasia laws. And then the final story tonight, Russian special forces captured. Ukraine's military says its forces have captured 2 Russian soldiers fighting with rebels in eastern Ukraine. The troops were seized in the town of Satya near the line of separation. A video emerged apparently showing one of the soldiers, which it said were members of Russia's elite special forces, saying during questioning that he was a sergeant from the central Russian city of Togliatti. Russia denies claims that it is sending its forces to help the rebels. That's all the news I have for you tonight. Do stay with us as we're crossing over to Adelani for the sports.
Good evening and a very warm welcome to you all. You're currently watching the RTM Sports News with me, Adelani Ogrande. These are the top stories this evening. In PSL news, Masha Maite, big winner at the PSL Awards. In African football news, Zimbabwe make a winning start to their COSAFA Cup Challenge. In international football news, Steven Gerrard bows out gracefully, and Arsenal and United settle for a point at Old Trafford. And Barcelona win the Spanish La Liga. In golf news, Rory McIlroy sets record at Wells Fargo Championship. In tennis news, Italian Open, Novak Djokovic beats Roger Federer to title, and Maria Sharapova wins third title in Rome. Starting with our top African football story, Kaizer Chiefs captain Tefu Mashamaite won the ABSA Premiership Footballer of the Season, the Players' Player and Best Defender prizes at the PSL's annual awards ceremony in Sandton yesterday. Mashamaite pocketed 450,000 rand in prize money and was recognized for his role in helping the Glamour Boys to a league and MTN 8 double in record-breaking fashion in 2014-2015. Downs midfielder Modise won both the APSA Premiership Midfielder of the Season and Nedbank Cup Player of the Tournament prizes. Vitspierre Pomlani Nshangashi and Moneb Josephs picked up the APSA Premiership Young Player of the Season and Goalkeeper of the Season awards respectively. Orlando Pirates rookie Menzi Masuku bagged the APSA Premiership Absolutely Awesome Goal of the Season award for his stunning strike in a 4-1 win over SuperSports United on April 29 at Orlando Stadium. In more African football news, Zimbabwe made a winning start to the COSAFA Cup yesterday by beating Mauritius 2-0 at the annual South African Championship, which kicked off at the Moruleng Stadium near Rustenburg in South Africa. Switching our attention to international football news, Liverpool's 3-1 loss to Crystal Palace was eclipsed by a significant moment in Premier League history. Steven Gerrard bid an emotional farewell after playing in front of fans for the last time at Anfield. Elsewhere, Ander Herrera's first-half strike gave United a deserved first-half lead against Arsenal. The Gunners needed the pace of Theo Walcott to force Blanket to deflect his shot into the net. The game ended 1 apiece. In another enthralling encounter, Yaya Toure scored either side of halftime in Manchester City's game with Swansea. Sigurdsson scored just before halftime for Swansea before Gomez equalised. James Milner and Wilfred Bonney scored City's fourth on his return to Swansea. The game ended 4-2 to Pellegrini's men. In Spain, the brilliance of Lionel Messi was on display for the world to see as his goal handed Barcelona their 23rd La Liga title. The 1-0 victory at Atletico Madrid meant Barcelona have now claimed their 5th La Liga title in 7 years. In another match, Real Madrid beat Espanyol 4-1 as Cristiano Ronaldo scored his 7th hat-trick of the season. With 310 goals, Ronaldo is now Madrid's second leading goal scorer of all time, passing Argentine great Alfredo Di Stefano. In golf news, Rory McIlroy won the Wells Fargo Championship by 7 strokes, setting a new tournament record score of 267. In tennis news, world number 1 Novak Djokovic continued his domination of men's tennis with a 6-4, 6-3 win over Roger Federer to win the Italian Open final. In women's tennis, Russian third seed Maria Sharapova came from a set down to beat Spain's Carla Suarez Navarro 4-6, 7-5, 6-1 and win her 3rd Italian Open title. So that wraps up all the sports news I have for you all tonight. Please enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of your RTM viewing. Let's cross over back to Vicky Lee White.
Thank you very much, Adlani, for the sports update. Let's have a look at the weather. That's it from all of us here at RTM News and from me, Vicky Lee White. I do hope you have a lovely evening and we'll see you again tomorrow.